This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and I'm actually really pleased with this. This is the HP Pavilion Aero. So for those of you who follow HP, you know the Pavilion is one of their most affordable lines of laptops. Above it sits the Envy and then the Spectre. So we don't expect a lot from a Pavilion usually, but HP is really starting to get what we want. I like this when manufacturers start doing that. So this is a 13.3-inch Ultrabook with a 16:10 aspect ratio display. You can get in full HD plus or QHD plus for those of you who want something a little bit more premium. It's under a kilogram, under 2.2 pounds. This is magnesium-aluminum casing. This is the kind of stuff you usually only see in a really premium product, right? And it's AMD Ryzen Zen 3 exclusive. Schwing. We're going to look at it now. So all that sounds really nice, right? And you're saying, well, if it's $1,000, $1,500, I expect all that good stuff, and I would hope so. Well, here's the kicker. This one starts at $750, so that's why I'm excited, honestly. For that base price tag, you're getting a Ryzen 5 5600U CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 256 gig SSD, and a full HD plus display. Our unit, which is configured more higher end, is a Ryzen 7 5800U with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig SSD, still the full HD plus display, is around $980. Now keep in mind, this just came out, and HP tends to have a lot of sales, so I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to see this available for less money in the coming months, or from retailers who are having sales. And if you want to add that upgrade to the QHD Plus display, that's about $120 more. Something only HP does is the colors. They have 4 colors. They're very nice colors. We have our natural silver, as they always call a light silver color. There is a rose gold, which is, well, rose gold, kind of pinkish. And then there is a gold, which is more like a subtle champagne. Anyway, if you want anything other than natural silver, you're going to pay $10 more. Not the end of the world. I just think it's kind of like, really? Couldn't average out the costs among all the colors? Guess not. Performance on this? It is Ryzen, so expect good performance. Better than Tiger Lake's Ultrabook CPUs, certainly. The only place we give it a slight ding is the M.2 NVMe SSD, which, yes, is upgradable, is okay performance. It's not class-leading, but then this is not in the $1,000 plus price range where we expect class-leading speeds from SSDs. It's decent enough. It's certainly not going to feel slow to you, but there's that. In terms of thermals on this, it's fine. It's an Ultrabook, it's Ryzen, it runs fairly cool, even if you're pushing it on the hard side, and the fan is not loud by any means, which again is typical of most Ultrabooks. We expect to see good performance, plenty enough for office, your occasional Photoshop, your hobby video editing, the endless Zoom calls, all those things that we do with our laptops. Does that fine, does that without getting too hot. As a nod to its less expensiveness, and also I think there seems to be a shortage of Wi-Fi cards right now, we have Realtek Wi-Fi 6 with Bluetooth 5.2. You don't get Intel, which some people prefer for performance reasons. I didn't have any problems with the Wi-Fi on this, but there's that. Looking for wherever concessions might be to make this so affordable. Casing rigidity is good. It's magnesium and aluminum together. Magnesium is very light, not nearly as rigid, but I'm not feeling a lot of flex on this. It feels fairly solid. The keyboard on this is fine. It's short travel like all laptops today, or Ultrabooks particularly, but it feels nice and crisp and there's a good spring to it. Maybe not quite as cushy as I would like, mostly to do with the key travel, but it's pretty pleasant to type on. If you want white backlighting, that's an extra $10. And we have a large precision trackpad that behaves perfectly well on board. And there's a fingerprint scanner on the wrist rest area as well. So good to see biometrics in the more affordable line from HP. Now for the display options, they're both IPS and matte and non-touch. If you want a touch screen, you're not going to get that here. And also the display does not tilt very far back on this. So keep that in mind for those of you who like to put your laptop low on your knees and you need more tilt. The display quality on this is good. The white point's a little weird, but the display overall is set up well, so you wouldn't even realize it. It's low blue light, so it's easy on the eyes. And HP claims whether you go with the Full HD Plus or the QHD Plus display that you're going to get 400 nits. We actually measured considerably above it, 471 nits. Wow, you can see the metrics on screen right now. It's a nice looking screen, certainly for this price class and for a Pavilion. They've come up in the world. Connectivity is pretty much average for the class. You're not relegated to only USB-C, but you do have a USB-C port that supports charging, though because there's only one USB-C port and you probably want to use it for more important things like displays and hubs, it comes with a 45-watt barrel pin charger, so you're not using that up. You have two USB-A ports, which have the drop-down jaw-style openings on them because it's too thin otherwise to fit USB-A ports, and an HDMI 2.0B port, and of course a headphone jack. No SD card slot here. Speakers on this are adequate. It's a small, thin, and light laptop. It sounds like a small, thin, and light laptop. Thank God for the headphone jack. So how about battery life? Again, Ryzen does well with battery life, typically speaking, especially in the Ultrabook segment. We have a 43 watt-hour battery on board, and HP claims about 10 hours of streaming time with this, and in average use with the brightness set to 150 nits, doing some streaming, some Zoom, office work, that sort of thing, I was getting 8 to 9 hours on the charge without even trying. If I was being a little more careful with my multitasking and everything else that I was doing, you could probably get longer than that. Not bad. 43 watt hours, an okay capacity battery. Again, not class leading like some more expensive laptops, which have 56 watt-hour batteries, but it's fine. It does come with a 45-watt charger. You don't get a 65-watt charger for a little bit faster charging. To take the bottom cover off, you must have patience and a little bit of care because you have to remove the rubber strips. Yonder rubber strips front and back here. And then there's a layer of adhesive underneath. And it's pretty thick, so the reason you have to remove that is so you can actually get to the Phillips head screws. So all of the screws are the same size except for one here that's smaller. So just remember that when you put it back together. And then there is some tenacious clips. So work your way from the back edge here, and this cover will eventually lift off. You don't see that every day. That's interesting there, a little foam. And here are the internals with, again, a sort of like felt tape. Usually you don't see this either. You see Mylar reflective heat tape or whatever, but this is the processor right here and the heat sink, and most likely I would say these are the RAM modules soldered on because RAM is soldered on board here. Single fan solution. The Wi-Fi card is socketed and upgradable, so should you not like the Realtek card, you could actually upgrade that after the fact. And the M2 SSD is under this heat shield, standard 2280 M2 SSD. Speakers flanking the battery as per typical laptop design, and there's the battery itself. So there it is, the HP Pavilion Aero 13. It is one nice looking laptop, good quality build, Ryzen inside, yay that, 16 by 10 aspect ratio display, and a fairly friendly price tag, certainly well under $1,000 for the starting price. Not bad. I'm Lisa from MobileTechReview. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos and hit the notification bell so you know about them.